The art of drunken fighting, sometimes called Zhuwei Xuan, is one that has fascinated martial arts fans for decades. Made popular by Jackie Chan in the 1978 movie Drunken Master, the Zhuwei Xuan style, or drunken fists, has found its way into popular culture and even the mainstream, with Emmanuel Augustus making a name for himself using this style in his boxing. Zhuwei Xuan has also found some popularity within the fighting game scene, with a lot of characters representing this style, including Jin Genstai from King of Fighters 94, Brad Wong from Dead or Alive, and Lei Wulong from the Tekken series. Hi guys, Jammers here, and today we'll be continuing with our ongoing series examining the fighting styles of Street Fighter and the characters that use them. This video will focus on Jamie, one of the new characters in Street Fighter 6. Jamie is a street smart fighter who has a lot of his moves locked behind his drink mechanic. He uses what has been described as a breakdancing drunk style, which is a marriage between the Zhuwei Xuan style and Wing Chun. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up for the video. Apparently, these help quite a lot, and we want to keep this channel growing so we continue to churn out quality content for you all. With all that said, let's get into it. So the first thing to note is that Zhuwei Xuan is not a fighting style in and of itself, and is rather a philosophy or form that can be incorporated into any fighting style. So you will find that there is some Zhuwei Xuan contained in most of the major Chinese fighting styles. It may be a move, form, tactic, or something else. But where did it come from? The history of Zhuwei Xuan is very hard to trace, as there aren't many written records of the martial art. One of the earliest mentions of the style was in a kung fu manual called Boxing Classic from the 18th century, which claimed that Shaolin monks practiced the style of 8 drunken immortal boxing, which refers to the drunken 8 immortals, a group of Chinese mythological martial arts masters. Within Zhuwei Xuan, there are typically 2 styles associated with its history, which are the Buddhist style and the Taoist style. For the former, the most popular origin story was from the Song dynasty, which lasted between 960 and 1279 AD and featured a prominent martial artist, Louis Zizan, who accidentally killed a man and sought refuge in a monastery. While there, he continued to consume copious amounts of alcohol, which the monks found reprehensible and looked to kick him out. Louis Zizan, completely drunk, then proceeds to defeat as many as 30 monks according to some sources, all using the drunken style. The abbot, on seeing his wards defeated so soundly, praised Louis Zizan's skill and adopted the drunken fist, and this style was then honed over years till it became even more powerful than ever before. Taoist tradition links Zhuwei Xuan to the drunken 8 immortals, who existed in either the Song or Tang dynasty, and are revered within the Chinese mythology. Within Zhuwei Xuan's tradition, it was said that each of the 8 immortals represented an archetype of the drunken style. So we had Liu Dongbi, the drunken within eternal strength; Li Teguai, the cripple with the powerful right leg; Han Zhongli, allegedly the most powerful, who dueled with a large pot in his arms; Lan Kaihe, the sexually ambiguous drunkard with a deadly waist attack; Zhang Guilao, the immortal with the swift double kicks; Cao Guoji, the drunken with the powerful throat lock; Hang Jiangzi, the flute-playing immortal with powerful wrist; and lastly, Miss Ho, the only woman in the pantheon known for her seductive fighting style, which incorporated flaunting her body to defeat her enemies. In one legend, it was said that the immortals were invited to a banquet in an underwater kingdom, but they arrived drunk and a little rowdy. Offended, the underwater guards attacked them, and even though they were quite drunk, the immortals were able to handle the battle, and in the process of their improvised fighting, they created a new style. With the guards defeated, a new drunken technique was born. However, as mentioned earlier, Zhuwei Xuan is not a fighting style on its own, and for Jamie, the style that most encapsulates his moveset is Wing Chun. This style of combat is credited to the female martial arts master Eng Rui. It is said that she drew inspiration for the style after observing a fight between a stork and a large rodent, where the stork was able to defend against the rodent's attacks by using its wings and legs to attack and defend simultaneously. This became the foundation of the Wing Chun style. She taught many students, but the most famous practitioner of the style is Ip Man. He is remembered for bringing Wing Chun into mainstream prominence when he fled to Hong Kong in 1948 and displayed the power of Wing Chun to the world. The martial arts was in danger of being wiped out in the Chinese Cultural Revolution, but thanks to Ip Man, the style survived and even evolved under his stewardship. He was also popularly known as the master of Bruce Lee, and he has been immortalized with a movie series starring Donnie Yen, which is rumored to be in production for the 5th installment. Jamie is not simply Zhuwei Xuan and Wing Chun, but also incorporates some breakdancing and Baji Xuan, which is the style used by his cousins Yin and Yang. What was the fighting style of Zhuge Xuan about, and how did specialists indulge in it? The first thing to note is that there is the traditional Drunken boxing style that is a bit more rigid, and the Wushu style, which is a lot more expressive. It is likely Jamie makes use of the latter considering how he moves and what he typically goes for. The entire philosophy of Drunken boxing is deceit and unpredictability. The aim of the Drunken master is to move in such a way that makes it difficult for them to be hit, and then lashing out with powerful hits from impossible angles. The body movement technique associated with Zhuge Xuan is known as sloshing, which is a term that brings to mind the movement of wine in a glass when held unsteadily, or the erratic movement of the ocean waves, which might seem random but well coordinated. In the same way, the Zhuge Xuan fighter might seem unsteady, but they are very alert and are simply evading challenges and looking for a chance to strike. This movement follows an ancient fighting concept known as hollow body, wine belly, which teaches that the body must be hollow while the lower abdomen, where the person's chi is typically located, is filled with wine. In this way, the person's drunken movement encourages the wine to flow to various parts of the body, providing power, which is then used in strikes. Which brings us to a very pertinent question. Is alcohol useful in actual combat involving Zhuge Xuan? Alright, let's talk about this for a bit. When Street Fighter 6's director Takayuki Nakayama discussed Jamie, he claimed to everyone who would listen that the contents of Jamie's gourd, which he drinks from, is a herbal mixture that was to help him. Each time he said this, everyone either laughed or nodded with a knowing wink. It is widely believed that Jamie has some alcohol in that mix, especially if you consider how his movement changes after utilizing the drink mechanic. But it is indeed possible that he isn't drinking alcohol, but maybe something else. This is because Zhuge Xuan takes a toll on your knees, back, and ligaments due to the constant movement, which requires a tough core. While fictional users of Zhuge Xuan were certainly drinking, real-life users of the style insist that it requires quite a bit of concentration and alertness. Jamie seems to incorporate these styles and philosophies in his moves. Prominent examples include his free-flow strikes and kicks, where he hits the opponent with a series of strikes and kicks. Looking at his movement closely, you'll notice that unlike with the traditional martial artist, who will stand and deliver his strikes by drawing back his fist to create momentum, Jamie delivers his hits seamlessly, swaying into a position that one wouldn't expect a punch or a kick from, and then hit with some force. Where we find Jamie's Wing Chun influences come from some of his target combos and his level 3 super. With the target combos, Jamie's hits are short, sharp, and devastating, which comes with Wing Chun's attention to eliminating unnecessary movement to create momentum in the most efficient way possible. For Jamie's level 3 super, he hits the opponent with a series of lightning fast attacks before telling them to get up and then standing with the opponent in a traditional Wing Chun position. He then goes into a slew of trapping moves and hits, and then finishes up the super. Jamie is a cocky young brat who is a little mean with people when he fights them. However, he idolizes Yang and Yang, whom he considers brothers, especially as they have helped him out. Jamie is also really young, and he's firmly in the Gen Z age group, which is evident in his behavior and slang. The Drunken style is an interesting choice for him considering his age, but when you think of his heritage and identity, it works out. Jamie's admiration for Yang and Yang also reflects in his fighting style, as you'll see the influence of the twins in how he fights and managing to somehow combine Wing Chun and Zhuge Xuan in an impressive feat. Jamie's age and vitality also makes it a lot more feasible for him to practice the Drunken fist, which is hard on the back and knees, so having a young and flexible physique helps. Also, Jamie's build is different from Luke's and the other protagonists. His more slender physique perfectly represents the philosophy of the Drunken fist. His build is deceptive, as is his speed, which is a huge part of his offensive ability. Jamie is Capcom's replacement for Ken, who was the support and rival for Ryu. He is a perfect addition, and it will be interesting to see how his story develops moving forward. And that's it from us today. Thank you for watching, liking, and following. What character and fighting style would you like us to look into next? Leave a comment below. Until next time, I have been Jammers, and have a good one.